Hello, this is Keegan, and today I wanted to talk about transitions you would use for your Keynote slides, or if you brought in a PowerPoint, that'll be fine too. Now, what you will need for this is a presentation already in Keynote. So if you need a guide on how to bring maybe a PowerPoint from your computer into Keynote, click on the annotation or the link provided, and that should help you out. So let's go ahead and get started. What I want to do is first I'm going to open Keynote here, because what we're going to talk about specifically is Magic Move and how that transition can be used effectively in a presentation. So what I want to do first is show you exactly what a Magic Move is. So I'm going to start at the beginning of this presentation and we're going to play it. And what I want you to notice is as I'm tapping through these slides, what's happening. So the content is moving around, and that includes pictures, it'll include words, and if you'll notice, things are being resized. Also, the colors are changing on text. Sometimes the text is rearranging. These are all fairly simple animations that you can do very easily within Keynote. So how do you do that though? Let me show you. So I'm going to jump out of this presentation and let's go to a completely new one. But you can do this with your sample one if you so choose. So what you're going to do is on this gear up here, you're going to tap there, and then Magic Move is a transition, so we need to go to the Transitions and Build section. Okay. When you're in this section, what you'll notice is this banner up here is blue, which means you are now editing specifically your transitions and builds. And if you tap on an object, you can make it like fade in or out or move around the page. But we're actually going to tap on each of the slides we have. And I'm going to tap on this plus sign, that blue plus sign. And you have lots of transition options, but I'm going to select Magic Move. And it's going to prompt me for a duplication of the slides that I have. And the reason it's doing that is because how Magic Move works. What it does is it allows you to set an initial and a starting position on two different slides, and then the transition does the rest. So the movement, the resizing, the changing of colors is all done by Keynote itself, but you have to determine where the start of all your objects and text are and then where they're going to eventually end up. So in most cases, you're going to select yes, duplicate this slide. Okay, so once that occurs, we now have this duplicated slide. So if I take on the second slide, if I take that content and resize it and move it around, so I'll just move this over here, and then we'll resize that a little bit and move it down. Maybe I'll make us do a return on it so it's on a second line. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is play the presentation. So there's a play button up there and you can do play. So it looked like my picture moved and my text didn't. So what we need to do is we need to fix that, because right now our Magic Move is set to Object Move is what it's set to. So under your More Options, which is this arrow, so select a slide. It should say Magic Move, and then select this arrow here. And then go down to Options. And then go into, so there are a few things here that you can select, but we're interested in how things are delivered. So I'm going to click on the Delivery and Acceleration. And what we should do is I'm actually going to select the Match Text, where you can select by word. So if you do Object, it'll only match the object's movement. But if you do by word and you change the words around like we just did in the slide, it'll actually move by the word too. So let me show you what that looks like now. Okay, so back, and then I'll just hit play right here actually, so we can see that. So now it moved by word is what it did. And you can do this on all of your slides depending on the settings you want. You can do by character, which is by letters. So if you're transitioning between different titles or things like that, you can also transition that way using a magic move where things all shift around. Okay. So that's how you would set up just a basic general magic move. But let's do something a little bit more advanced. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move this again. So I'm going to tap on the second slide, and there isn't really a magic move on this, but I'm going to tap on the plus, and it looks like it's still an option, so I'll go back to effects to add a magic move, and I will duplicate a slide because that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'll need to do. So I'm going to move this again, and then I'm going to move this again, make it bigger. And then what I'm going to do, so I'm actually going to back out of editing the transitions and builds a second. So I'm going to hit done up here. And then I'm going to select this object, which is my text box, and go to this paintbrush here. And then what I want to do is I want to change the color of this text. So click on where your font is, and you'll be prompted to change the color. So I'm going to change this to black, actually, I think. Or, well, let's do some, yeah, black. Black will work. Okay. So now what you should see when this transition occurs, let's go to the beginning of the presentation. So I'll tap here first, and then I will hit the play button. So what we should see is each one of these transitions occurring, where things are moving around and fading and resizing as you determine them. So you can do this with anything that is a picture or a text. Graphs I've had a little bit more problems with, so other than pictures and text I'm not as familiar. But what's really interesting are how some of those effects were accomplished in the samples that I showed you. If you go into, say, the text portion, for example, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pinch in with 2 fingers on this slide. And what you'll see is I've moved text boxes outside of the field of view here. And that's how some of these transitions occur. So if I'm going through each of these slides, you can see actually how those transitions, those simple animations occur. So that's going to fade down here. The case study is going to fade down there because its initial position here in this slide is above the slide, and the final position of the next slide is down here. So that's how you can use the magic move to do some simple animations, and then also just help your presentation get where your transitions between the content are very reflective of it. So where I can show that as an example is in this architecture class that I was taking, I wanted to show the outside of the building and then show the actual building as I was talking about it, and then I wanted to talk about the inside. So then what happened is we faded into the building. So those transitions are all very deliberate to help add to the overall experience that the students are, or just the audience is receiving. All right. So I hope you've liked this video. It's been a little bit longer, but I wanted to show that specific part of Keynote and give you some ideas how it can be used in your presentations to pedagogically, to educationally add some value to how your transitions and slides actually occur during class or at conferences or whichever. So leave a like or a comment. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will get back to you when I can. Thank you very much.